love sweet God Manga. Lobster's a 10 on you, don't you grab it. This video is brought to you by T-Blocks. Enjoy the content now, but stay for the shilling later.
Hey.
Welcome to Lobster Magnet and Friends. I'm here with my buddy Goro Gogoro.
Yeah, that's me.
And we are here to talk about One Piece Chapter 887. It was funny, there was this guy, Axel Orville, who was commenting on last week. He said he agreed with you that he was like really enjoying Whole Cake Island, and that you won the debate, and that I was being unreasonable.
Really?
Yeah. Although
I didn't even get to see that.
He found my description of how I wanted Whole Cake Island to end hilarious.
Well,
So
enjoy
that. Enjoy that small victory.
We did all want to see more Dogtooth versus Luffy action. Like, that's like some of the best fighting we've gotten throughout this new world arc.
So, this chapter I had mixed feelings on. On one level, I thought it was a really good piece of manga storytelling and short. This guy, this like big guy, and I love the fact that like it's confirmed that like Big Mom just like fucks dudes and then lets them get her pregnant, and then once she's gotten their sperm, they're useless. The child is born. I don't need you anymore.
Yeah, that line was like you hit the nail right on the head with that.
That's great. There you go. This is the diversity we need in storytelling. We need women who are just as bad as the male villains, who treat men just as disposably as douchey men treat women. And that's what makes Big Mom great. It's great that she's like, you're just like a sperm donor, and then once I'm done with you, I don't need you anymore. Once I pop my children out, then I just go to the next one. And what are you going to say against me? I'm Big Mom.
Oh my god. Yeah. Like, Big Mom's character, like her whole pirate organization is very interesting organization. It's just like literally just wants to fuck the world, to unite it.
She has the greatest ambition of all. She just wants to fuck the world so she can pop out mutated children of every race, so she can have her little menagerie and ultimate family, and then have them all be huge so they can have a giant tea party.
It's a beautiful ambition, to be honest. Like, but in a really twisted way.
Yeah, I must say, Big Mom. Like, I was always worried with Big Mom would be able to live up to the Yanko hype. Although it just means that Kaido has like an even higher bar to reach, like when he's eventually introduced, in terms of like what Oda needs to do with him to make him live up to the hype. But Big Mom has absolutely 100% lived up to the hype.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess we should talk about this chapter too.
So yeah, so this chapter, like, my conflicted feeling is like I thought it was a really well told piece of manga. I like the fact that you had this like whole story where it's like, oh, I love you, my daughter. I could never even hold you, but I wanted to see you so badly. And you have this multi-generational saga with Chiffron and Don Capone's little ugly baby with the stubble, like going, oh, because he sort of like somehow realizes his grandfather is there. And then, assumingly, his grandfather Pound gets his, hero moment where he, like, lets the Straw Hats escape from Oven, but then Oven kills Pound, assumingly, and beheads him.
And it's so interesting. Like, no one knows who Pound is, who's, like, in that vicinity, except, the people who encountered him before, like Luffy, Nami,
that's true.
Chopper.
Sanji didn't see him.
Exactly. So none of these characters know who the hell Pound is. I guess, except would Pudding know? No, Chiffon doesn't even know either.
Yeah,
so
Chiffon never met him.
So yeah, no one knows who the hell this guy is, and in that way, it makes it kind of sad. A little bit tragic, I think. Like,
it does. It definitely does make it sad and tragic. And like I said, like as an individual piece of storytelling, I think Oda did a great job in terms of like making this tragic for this character. But I guess my issue is I do not give a crap about Pound.
I mean, the same here. I just don't
care about Pound. He's just like, ugh. He goes into like the bin of like, terrible designs who are unmemorable. Like, sometimes Oda knocks it out of the park with, like, a fun gimmick character, like Big News Morgan.
Yes.
Big News Morgan is the best. He's got a great new gimmick. Big News! He looks like Big Bird, which is just hilarious, and we just love to accept it. And we love his gimmick that, like, you know, he's just like hungry news reporter who's always looking for big news.
Yeah, it's so awesome to see, you know, Oda do things like that with his crazy ass characters. But like, I guess Pound, he is definitely one of the weaker characters. Like, you know, he's not very likable. I mean, sure, he's like trying to protect his daughter, but like, you know, in his final moments, I guess. I mean, I guess if you really think about it, just like, that's pretty much the only like significant thing he's ever done in his whole life, right?
As far
So,
as
like,
we know, he doesn't have any history. Luffy just meets him, and then we learn a little bit about that he's like Big Mom's 25th husband. We know,
but
that
he was
he's a
like buried in
giant.
he was buried in that sand for like a long ass time,
Yeah.
and like, unless he was like hiding in there on purpose, and just like, how was he eating? Like, how was he living?
Just don't think about it. Big Mom's island is filled with food. He was like eating the island or something. I
guess
don't know.
so.
He was not like the most compelling character. Just like, but you know, it is a good send off. Well, here's a question though: do you think he's dead like Pedro, or do you think Oda's gonna like bring him back?
With Oda, I kind of take these scenes a little bit with a grain of salt. Sometimes, like, when you think a character dies off in One Piece, you're bound for like some disappointment. I mean, with the exception of Ace, that was like, you know, that was a major breakthrough with Oda, but he usually doesn't kill these characters like this.
No,
It's like,
no, he usually doesn't, and I wish he would. I don't think anyone's begging for Pound or Pedro to be alive. I hope that they're dead, but something tells me that, you know, at the end they'll somehow make it out through some BS.
yeah. But yeah, it was just kind of a little bit sad that the only one who, you know, really recognized what he was doing was like the baby in some kind of weird unconscious, you know, baby-like way.
You could, like, tell his bloodline was. Oh god, I loved, like, you know, Capone's transforming amphibious ship, and like
I knew you would like that. That ship that turns into a tank. It's
yeah,
like,
that goes on land and goes on. I wish Zavil was here. I'm curious to hear if he enjoys the increased Capone. And I also did love that moment in like chapter 2 where he like shoots him with like a cannonball gun, which of course does nothing to Oven.
yeah, I mean, it sends him flying back, but yeah.
But whatchamacallit, so, you know, those things are kind of, like, satisfying to, like, see Capone, like, do those things and, like, you know, continue to be a badass, and his little baby not know the legacy that would lead, you know, that his grandfather is sacrificing himself so he can move on. Capone definitely, oh, man, his status rose up so much from this arc.
It really did, and it makes me curious about the other supernovas after Capone. Like, how badass can Oda, you know, make these other supernovas who weren't, you know, who didn't seem like badasses at first? Like,
Capone was the worst one by far. Yeah. It was him and, you know, Mad Monk Rouge, who were like the most forgettable, uninteresting, and they were both like neck to neck of my least favorite back when Oda introduced them. But like he did wonders and made the most uninteresting guy like
the most interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still amazed that he was able to do that amidst all the other stuff that was going on in this arc.
I'm not even exaggerating when I say Beijing is the most interesting supernova right now because, well, I guess right now, I guess Luffy technically is a supernova too, right? So,
well, just the non-Straw Hat supernova.
Yeah. So he's the most interesting non-Straw Hat supernova right now because we know so much more about him. We know his connection to Big Mom. We know his like powers, like in and out. We know what his ambitions are. Like he wants to like execute people of like the highest.
The highest. and we also sort of, well, we know that he's kind of like, he's like kind of like a scummy guy, but he's a scummy guy with integrity.
Yeah, he cares for his crew.
He cares for his crew. He cares for his ugly
the,
wife, his
he
weird little baby son.
He cares about certain contracts he makes with people sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. He's a man of his word, and if he gives you his word, he's going to follow through with it.
Except when he's trying to backstab Big Mom. Like, he probably gave his word to Big Mom at some point, but his original intention was to backstab Big Mom in the first place.
Yeah, so I'm sure as
take her head.
As he's concerned, that's par for his operating procedure, and she should have known better than to, have trusted him or taken him into the crew.
Yep.
But, how he handled himself with the Straw Hats, and the fact that he was, dedicated to saving his crew and protecting his crew, and the fact that he, even helped out the Straw Hats when, for all intents and purposes, if he was, a scuzzy guy, he could have just, ran away.
Yeah. Oh, and he went into, castle mode, too.
Yeah, exactly. The castle mode was great. Lord Father!
Yeah.
But it looks like, we're, again, I guess that's what annoys me about, though, is that, we're getting, two climaxes, because I thought the Tea Party was a good enough climax for Whole Cake Island, but now we're kind of getting the second climax of, let's get the cake to Big Mom!
Yeah, that doesn't bother me so much, as long as it's, executed well. This chapter was a little bit, it feels like it does kind of sidetrack the rest of the story a little bit. There's some cool imagery, I love Sanji lifting up the cake with one leg, and he's using that.
He's just this tiny thing, this tiny little speck for this huge cake and huge seal. It was a good little size thing.
Yeah, and he's probably using that CP9 ability where he's kicking the air so fast with his leg so he can fly, essentially.
Hop on it.
Yeah, exactly. So that little moment in imagery was really cool to see, and it's great. The story is progressing. They got the cape on the ship. They're gonna bring it to the Straw Hat crew, and make it it's not completely sold down to a halt, the story, at all. And the next part, the next part is going to be the question, what's going to happen in the next chapter or two in this story arc. That's what I'm curious about.
True. I'm kind of curious if things are going to wind down, if we're going to get some sort of final confrontation between Luffy and Dogtooth, where Luffy reaches some sort of pinnacle and powers up his haki to somehow overcome him. Since Riley basically said that your haki is like Saiyans, the more powerful haki, the only way you can increase its power is by facing more powerful haki.
Yeah, that's interesting that Rayleigh said that. So it makes me wonder how Luffy's going to power up even more with his haki. Is he going to see? He's going to see into the future. Is he going to increase his armament haki's strength? Is he going to?
Well, it sounds like if there's anything he's going to learn, it's going to be somehow to increase his observation haki.
Or is he going to awaken his devil fruit power?
I feel like the awakened devil fruit power up won't happen until Kaido. I feel like that's going to be when we see that happen.
Oh, that'd be interesting, because then that'd be a way to essentially maneuver around Kaido, because he's supposed to be immortal, kind of indestructible. But if you can just bounce him all over the place forever, get sort of avoid him.
Well, that'll be interesting if if Luffy's awakening just allows him to turn everything to rubber, and then he just pinballs Kaido, and then he uses that to his advantage.
Yeah. That's essentially what I think could happen.
Oh, Jesus Christ, though. When he fights Kaido, it's going to have to be this needs to be 20 chapters, and it needs to be the most incredible drag-out brawl fight where that lasts forever, and it's the most intense thing that Oda has ever drawn.
Yeah. It'd be pretty awesome. I mean, hopefully it'd be pretty awesome, but like, I'm just like concentrating at the moment right now of like how awesome the Luffy Dogtooth fight is right now, and I just don't even care so much about Kaido at the moment. I just want to see more Luffy versus Dogtooth. That's all I care about.
You love like Luffy fighting like the better version of himself.
Yeah, exactly. Like the better, more
the smarter, more powerful, better
the most
devil
perfect, the most perfect character, so to speak.
Yeah, the version of like the people in their minds think that they want of like Luffy.
Yeah.
That is interesting, and we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, it'll be a good payoff. I am definitely. I just hope it doesn't take forever. This is like a self-contained chapters. This is a good send-off for Pound, although I'm sure he's not dead for some BS reason.
Yeah.
What do you think of Oven? Did I just get a text?
Oven's kind of like a generic kind of commander villain person. He doesn't seem that important. He's just there to just pose as like a kind of threat.
True. Alright, so I have to head off somewhere soon. Whatchamacallit? What would you rate? What score would you give this chapter?
I give it I might give this like 7.5? 7.5. I give it a 7.5.
I'm surprised. I thought it would be higher for some reason because it's One Piece. I'd give it like I'm gonna go for 8. I can sort of appreciate its storytelling-ness, even though it's I'm not a big fan of Pound.
I'm surprised. Like you said that it drags on the it's dragging away from like the main conclusion of the story. It sounds like
I could still appreciate it as like a well-constructed emotional end for this character, even though I didn't really like the character. Even though the character's probably not dead.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully, maybe we'll bring Zavul next week. Who knows? It's a roll of the dice. And remember, T-Blocks is the best. Go get T-Blocks, 10 Big Mom's Tea Party. And remember, lobster is antennas, but don't you grab it. Do you like clothes but hate shopping? Then T-Blocks is the subscription service for you. But I know what you're thinking. But Lobster, how is that any different than Loot Crate or the other subscription services? Well, T-Blocks sends you t-shirts, which is clothing, which is actually useful, unlike the useless swag junk that Loot Crate keeps peddling on gullible schmucks. And this isn't just knockoff brand crap. T-Blocks hooks you up with licensed shirts for all the stuff you love, because you need clothes. How else are you going to keep your puny human man flesh protected from the elements? T-shirts are useful for any occasion. Wear them, give them to friends, give them to enemies, knit them together, make a quilt. T-shirts are life. And you know the best part? It'll only cost you $6.99. That's right, you can get 12 shirts sent to you for once a month for only $6.99. And you know what? If ultra cheap licensed goods are too basic for you, then there's also the Community T-Block set, which features original designs from the best up-and-coming artists, so you can keep that hipster street cred. But I'm here to save you even more money! Use the code LOBSTERTBX at checkout, and you'll save 10% on any order. Be a t-shirt wearing god amongst mortals. Use the power of the most expensive seafood to get you the cheapest t-shirts now! Lobsters made